you live from Tennessee, from the East to the West. We are talking Cowboys everything. And you've just entered
the Cowboy Zone.
Welcome back to another episode of the Cowboy Zone. I'm your host, Marcus Jones, the Bluff City Cowboy, coming to you live from Memphis, Tennessee.
And this is Lambo from Cowboys Y'all out of Johnson City, Tennessee.
All right, guys. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Cowboy Zone. We appreciate you guys coming in and talking a little Cowboys football with us. I know there are a lot of different podcasts going on right now and a lot of places you could be getting your Cowboys news and notes from, but we appreciate that you guys are here rocking with us. Lambo, how's it going today, man?
Non-stop, man. Busy.
I heard a little bit of the commotion going on in the background before we started.
Yeah, I barely made it in time. Hey, trying to get 4 kids to bed that are ages newborn to 7 is tough.
I can imagine. What's up, Brian?
What's up,
Jeff?
Brian?
Appreciate you joining us today.
Jeff. Old hometown friend Lamar. College Park in the house. Javier. Elazar.
Yeah. Thank you guys all for joining us. And while you're here, Facebook has gotten a little tricky on how to share. So it takes me a little bit longer than I wanted to take to share it to different pages. So for all you guys watching on Facebook, do me a favor. Please go to this right now, click that like button, and share it to your favorite Cowboys Facebook group. We're about to talk some good free agency talk. I know Lambo, I always find this funny. When I post something on Monday, it seems like every show I see
is doing the same thing.
It's doing the exact same thing.
We could start this surprising. Just do it's a surprise show from now on.
Yeah, just start posting that day.
Just tune in and you'll find out what it is when it goes live.
Hey, Rivera, we really appreciate you and all the support. Brian as well. Thank you guys.
Whoa, 35 shares.
Wow.
How did that happen? It says 35 shares. I've never seen it say 35 shares 2 minutes into the start of a show. Something to
Rivera said he shared it to every Cowboy group, and there are 1,000 of them out there. So
wow. Hey, I appreciate that.
Big ups to you and Brian, man. You guys really did your thing. All right, make sure you hit that like button as well. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure you subscribe. What's up, Shane? Thank you for joining us. So today, I really wanted to get into free agency. A couple weeks ago, Lambo and I did a show about the top 5 positions of need going into 2021. And the reason we picked those positions was because we're losing key guys at all of those spots. So today, and Shane, thank you for sharing as well. We always appreciate you guys' support. Jeff, I know you're coming back to Facebook soon, so we're looking forward to that. And like Mendoza said, yes, please subscribe too. I'm Bluff City Cowboys, Lambo's Cowboys, y'all. Make sure you subscribe to both pages. So yeah, like I was saying, every position that we put as a position of need, we put it there because they're going to lose a key player. So tonight's episode, we want to go through a couple of those key positions of need, show you the player that's leaving, and give you an idea of what free agency looks like at that position. So once we take a look at these, you guys make sure to get in the comments like you always do. Tell us, should we keep that guy? Should we let him go? And if any of the options that we have up there are viable options. And I know you guys are some of the best, most knowledgeable fans on the internet right now. So if you have a guy that you want to pick in that place of the guy we put, let us know that as well. I'm missing one position. So, Lambo, while I pull up this last position, I'll give you a minute or two to talk about this Dak for Russ stuff that's been popping up today.
To that, I say, well, today I say one. Number one is it ain't happening. But number 2, no, give me the young guy that's got the locker room. Give me Dak. I'm not trading Dak for Russ. In
No,
theory, it sounds nice in theory, but Russell Wilson is how old now?
he's older than Dak.
By at least 5-6 years, I believe.
Yeah, I think he did come to the league about 2011, 2012. So, yeah.
I mean, I love Russell Wilson. Don't get me wrong, and I know the Cowboys are one of the teams. I believe Russell Wilson said if he were to be traded, which I think he said he didn't request a trade, but if he were to be traded, the Cowboys are one of those teams he'd be interested in.
I don't even know. I believe that report.
I don't either. I don't feel like he would say that, but I don't know. 32. Yes, he's still got some good years left in him.
Yeah.
He's still got at least a solid 4 or 5 seasons, but I just don't think that's realistic. And I'm just I'm more of a believer in Dak than most, but I believe we got something special with him, and I think he's got full control of that locker room.
The thing I find most funny about that is people talk about getting rid of Dak. Let's keep it 100 right here. What has Russell Wilson done in the past 4 years since Dak has been in the league? For all the people who want Russell Wilson, okay, he won a Super Bowl. What was that, 2012? He went in 2013. Since Dak has been in the league, what has Russell Wilson done? Because if you want to go wins for wins, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Dak has beaten Russell Wilson 2 times in the playoffs.
Yeah, I was going to say, last time we met them in the playoffs, Dak came out on top.
Exactly.
I mean, as a team, we came out on top, but Dak played a hell of a game. And this is no knock on Wilson because he's an awesome quarterback. He's amazing.
Right.
Top 5. But I also remember him getting bailed out, throwing 5 interceptions, and getting bailed out and advancing in the playoffs after a 5 interception game. His defense bailed him out of that one. That's something that Dak has not had the privilege of, having a defense that can bail you out like that. But,
I see Mendoza. I made a comment about this earlier about, are we really going to believe a Chris Sims report? Like, haven't we learned our lesson from last year?
Yeah. I ain't going to, like, if they somehow pulled strings and got Russell Wilson, I definitely wouldn't be like devastated or nothing. Yeah. You know, it's Russell Wilson. But
and Philip Mullins makes a great point here. I was going to make it. I believe when Russell came into the league, he was a 5th-year senior.
Oh yeah.
So he may already be 31 or 30. 32. Jeff says 32.
Yeah. And Philip, if you're still watching, man, sorry, I gotta get caught up on my DMs. I've been so busy. I got like 10 people to respond to. I'll get to you. Yeah. Hope you're doing well, bro.
Yeah, Rivera says we want Dak to be honest. I mean, nobody really knows what's going on behind the scenes. All we get is reports from people that we can choose to believe or not to believe. And I honestly don't believe any of them. I mean, if we were to look at any other player and determine what their contract was, we would go based on what the market says. We wouldn't go off of some random report by, I don't want to say a name, but some national writer or some podcaster. So yeah, sorry guys, I'm catching up on the.
You know what?
Comments.
When I rushed in here, I didn't throw my cowboy hat on, so I'm gonna grab my hat.
Oh, do your thing. Do your thing. Rivera asked an interesting question. Would I take Aaron Rodgers if you can? Well, based on Rodgers and McCarthy's previous relationship, I don't know how well that would mix. So if McCarthy and his coaching staff stayed here, I don't know if Rodgers would come or if I would want that mixture. If we change coaches, I could maybe consider it, but I could just see Aaron Rodgers crapping all over Kellen Moore. Like, you little young pup, I don't respect you. I played in the league longer than you coached. I could just see him really down in a Kellen Moore as a play caller, and he already has no respect for McCarthy.
He would give him a rough time, man.
Yeah. And if you guys think Dak wants $40 million, Rodgers is gonna want $40 million wherever he goes at 37.
Yeah, I was gonna say at 37.
38. Yeah.
See,
and I'm sorry, Lambo. And speaking of that, what has Aaron Rodgers done? Like, if we keep it 100, outside of Tom Brady, nobody's really done anything the past 10 years.
Yeah.
So we keep trying to get rid of Dak, and we point at, okay, what has Dak done? Who else has won a Super Bowl in the past 4 years other than Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes? I mean, you guys want Carson Wentz over Dak? Not Carson Wentz. Well, Carson Wentz or Nick Foles over Dak. He won a Super Bowl. I mean, what are we doing here?
Dak's the future. I mean, like you said, he's 27 years old. He'd be here. You know, I don't want a guy that's just going to be a bridge,
right,
to another guy that's possibly going to be a bust and go through that whole quarterback carousel again. Rodgers is just a bridge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and William makes a great point. We made fun of Washington for what they did with Cousins, and it looks like we're going to do the same thing. I don't normally speak on Dak, and I spoke on him more than I normally do, but I think we work something out, especially if that TV deal gets signed before the regular season.
I hope so, man, because I'm starting to get a little worried.
If that TV deal gets signed before April, and we know the big cap explosion is going to happen in 2023, they're going to get that deal done. The only thing that's kind of stopping them now, I think, they don't know what the money's going to look like next year and the year after. Because the way Dallas likes to structure their contracts, the first year is always a super low cap hit. So you have to make sure you can account for a super high cap hit in year 3. All right, guys. That is our Dak talk for probably from now until Dak actually signs a contract. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. So now let's get back to the issue at hand and let's talk some free agency. So first off, Lambo and I, when we did our free agent top 5 positions of need, we both put this position at number 1, and everybody kind of looked at us funny. So let's start off with what we think is the biggest position of need, and that is the quarterback position. As of right now, we only have one quarterback under contract, and that's Ben DiNucci. I don't even know if Garrett Gilbert's under contract. If I'm not mistaken, he may not be. But
DiNucci has got to go. He's got to go. I read something the other day. I can't even remember exactly what it was, but it was something along the lines of he ended up being the worst rated quarterback out of every quarterback that played a game in the entire league.
Mm-hmm.
And it did not surprise me at all when I seen it.
So Gary Gilbert is under contract for next year.
Yes, Gilbert. I'm cool. I'm cool rolling. I'm cool rolling with him as the backup.
I'm cool with it too, but if I can get a veteran,
I mean, yeah, somebody more proven,
somebody who can give us 6 games, who's called a NFL game, I'd be good with that too.
Tyrod Taylor.
So yeah, we go through the list right here. So
Net one, Cam Net one.
What's that? Where you said that?
Cam Net one.
I don't see that one. Oh, that's my mistake. Sorry, guys. Moving too fast, trying to get this one up. This is the one I left off. So what I tried to do here, I tried to show the quarterback we're losing, his age, the team he came from, and his salary, of course. And then I wanted to show some options that were similar to that guy, because Dallas normally tries to keep everything around the same level at a position. So I'm looking at guys who are around 30. We could probably get for $4 million or less, who started a couple games, have some NFL experience. So I see, Lambo, your eyes went directly to Tyrod Taylor. So
I don't know this.
So we got. Go ahead, Lambo. Let me know what you think about Taylor.
I don't know. I feel like with the way with the way our offense is, I feel like we could be a control the clock type offense, and I feel like he would be a safe kind of a safe quarterback that's still mobile. Still got good legs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
T-Mobile.
Yeah, I don't know. He felt like the safest option that caught my eye immediately. Right. I kind of worried about Cam after last season.
I
don't
agree.
know, man. Injury bug. I feel like he's getting the injury bug a lot at his age now, and he is a turnover monster right now. It seems like
his arm. He didn't have an arm by week 13. It was awful.
Brett Hundley.
Yeah, this is my guy. Let me go
Brett
through
Hundley.
The
yeah.
Hundley.
Garrett
better than Andy.
Intriguing. Yeah. I would kick the tires on Hundley, give him a tryout.
Mendoza says Brissett, he's gonna want way too much money. Like, I don't think he's ever made less than $10 million since he's kind of been a free agent. Shane says he'd rather have Marcus Mariota. Unfortunately, Mariota signed a 2-year deal, so he's still in with the Raiders for another year. I would actually disagree on Cam. Is probably the closest to Dak style. And Brian, you hit the nail on the head with me too. I agree. Tyrod Taylor's good.
Yes, Hundley was with McCarthy, wasn't he?
This is my guy. Yeah.
Makes sense.
He was Aaron Rodgers' backup for 3 years, and then they made that trade for Deshaun Kaiser with Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
And Kaiser was a second-round pick who they kind of let go after 1 year, and McCarthy had to kind of choose: do I want the second-round pick with a lot of potential, or Brett Hundley? And he chose Kaiser. Brett Hundley went to Arizona for the past.
He never got a fair shake, man. I feel like he could have been something decent, or at least a decent starter in this league.
I watched Hundley a lot in college because I follow UCLA quite a bit. If you go back and watch UCLA, if you guys remember him, he and Dak played almost a very similar type of game. Very mobile guys, threw the ball around a lot, extremely smart, super mature for their age. Brett Hundley is only a year older than Dak, so you bring in a guy who kind of knows his role, similar background to Dak, plays similar. And if you look at these salaries, Brett Hundley only made $1 million last year. So I feel like if he came here, he'd take about the same contract. I'm looking at the list. Ryan Fitzpatrick, he's probably going to want to stick around $5 million. Same for Tyrod. Cam Newton at 3.3 last year. I think he's going to want a lot more than $3 million. I think even if his arm is shot, he just has that personality that he has that alpha dog personality where I'm just the greatest. And unless New England brings him back, I doubt he signs anywhere else for a deal close to that. And that's another thing that I want to talk about with the quarterbacks. I would be afraid to bring Cam Newton in and a guy like Ryan Fitzpatrick because they just have those alpha personalities. And I feel like they wouldn't mesh well in this locker room, especially a guy like Cam, because he's just like a lightning rod. And that's not a bad thing. It's just not good for a team like this.
Yeah, it's probably different with guys that like when he was with the Panthers, the team was kind of built around him. They kind of grew up together in a way. But you come straight into a locker room full of dudes that you ain't that close to. And I could easily see him and D-Law and a few others, chopping it up.
Mm-hmm. And Shane, I agree with you on this one. I'd probably just draft one, especially if you guys like Gilbert as the backup. But if I had to choose one, I just wanted to give the option because if you follow McCarthy's past, he likes to have a veteran quarterback on his team as a backup. That's kind of one of the reasons they really push for Andy Dalton.
Hundley's potential is definitely stands out among this list.
Yeah, and he's already
his price tag.
Yeah, he's familiar with McCarthy and Joe Philbin, the O-line coach, who's the de facto assistant OC. Tyrod Taylor just got paid last year. No, actually, he was the backup with the Chargers. They only signed him to a 1-year deal. They thought he was going to be a bridge quarterback for the guy they drafted out of Oregon. and Justin Herbert just exploded when he got his opportunity. And I doubt they bring Tyrod back at that amount of money. I think they know Herbert's their guy. They don't need a veteran to kind of hold his hand. I just think they go with some cheap backup to go behind him. I could see like a Blake Bortles going there, somebody that's big and athletic, just to hold a clipboard.
I wish we would have brought in Josh Dobbs to be our backup.
Yeah, I love Josh Dobbs.
I feel like he hasn't really got much of a good look himself in this league yet, but
yeah. And we do need defense, Rivera. I'm gonna go through the list. I just want to start with offense first to kind of get it out of the way because I knew this would be kind of short and sweet. I know once we got defense, everybody probably has 100 options other than the ones that I'm gonna put on the screen. And Jeff asked an interesting question because I believe Cooper Rush was on our practice squad by the end of the year. I really think he was just a guy to bring in because Kellen Moore was familiar with him, and we knew Dak wasn't coming back.
Yeah.
DiNucci had pretty much shown us his stripes at that point, and they didn't know what they had in Garrett Gilbert. So I think that was just kind of an insurance policy in case Dalton went down again.
Yeah,
so we have to see DiNucci one more time.
Safety net.
Yeah. All right, guys, let's go to my next offensive position. It's one that doesn't get well, I have two more offensive positions, actually. So let's go to the one that people don't really talk about because they look at our big three. But the depth behind them, pretty thin. So next we go to the wide receiver position. We lose two key guys, I think, in Cedric Wilson, Noah Brown. Noah Brown's kind of our special teams ace. Got a lot of playing time this year. Looked good in spurts. Cedric Wilson, kind of our swing receiver, if you would call him that. Inside, outside guy. Looked really good whenever he got the opportunity. Both of them are 25 years old. Both of them are big on special teams. And they're both free agents. So what I tried to do right here, we know who the big three are. Those guys are going to get paid a ton of money. Whoever we have at 4 and 5, they're going to be cheap contracts. And I put $2.5 million or less. I think whoever we get 4 and 5, their combined contracts have to be that amount.
Yeah.
So, Lambo, are there any names on this list that kind of catch your eye?
D.D. Westbrook.
Okay.
I don't think he's going to come. He would come to Dallas. I think he would want to go somewhere where he can be a top 3 guy on the team.
I agree.
So I don't foresee that happening. But
if
this was Madden, if this was Madden franchise mode, I'd be hitting up D.D. Westbrook for my wide receiver 4 spot.
but he does have a lot of injury concerns though, Lambo. So his price tag may be cheap on a prove it deal.
John Ross, I wish I could just plug him in like it was Madden and increase his hand stats. And there's some other areas there to go along with that speed, but I don't. Demarcus Robinson, I think's another guy.
That's who I really like on this list. Now the question is, will Kansas City bring him back?
Yeah,
but they always draft a 4-3 guy every year, and Robinson may just get pushed down because his price may be right at $2 million. I put Zay Jones and Farrell Cooper. Big special teams guys, especially Farrell Cooper. If you guys remember with the Rams, after they got rid of the guy who came to Dallas, Farrell Cooper made the Pro Bowl as the special teams guy under Fossil. So maybe we could see that reunion back here where he comes in and kind of replaces Noah Brown and just be a pure special teams guy.
Yeah, that's
unlike
what it's
Noah
going to
Brown,
come down to.
Unlike Noah Brown, he can give you kick return, punt return, and coverage on kick and punt.
Noah Brown is still 25 years old?
Noah Brown came into the league at 20 years old.
Why does it feel like he's been on this team for like a decade?
Well, he's been here for 5 years now.
That is crazy. I will say I would like them to bring back Noah Brown on a cheap price tag.
Yeah. But I was all over that last year. I kept telling everybody, he's coming back.
You were.
This year, I don't know. Apparently, he was really close with Zeke at Ohio State, and there was a story that Zeke actually kind of went to to the coaches and said, I'll put my name down for this guy if you draft him. And that's one of the reasons he got here. And he just kind of made his name on special teams.
Yeah, and he's a great blocker too.
I'm with Mendoza too. I'd probably rather bring them both back if the price is right. And I don't know if I see either one of these guys really garnering a big salary from anybody. So I would be interested in John Ross. I think he's going to have to take a super cheap deal to prove he can stay healthy for a year as a number 4 receiver, maybe give you a spark on return. But I would probably go with Noah Brown and Cedric Wilson on this one, bring both of them back.
I agree.
Yeah. Philip Dorsett, I got somebody pointed him out, former first-round pick for the Colts.
Mm-hmm. Then he went to what, Seattle?
Yeah. I think last year was his $1 million kind of prove it year. So I think this year he may want a little bit more, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Wilson and Robinson, I would love that combination. But they would really be competing for that number 4 spot. I almost feel like you couldn't get both of them just because of the money. But I would love to have that combination because Robinson can give you punt return.
I think Robinson, like Westbrook as well, will try to be looking for a team where they can be in that top 3.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Which makes sense for them. It's smart for them. I wouldn't want to go somewhere and be the 4 when I think Robinson can definitely at least be the 3rd option on a team.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Well, since you say that, Lambo, do you think Wilson may think that I want to go somewhere and be a 3?
That's a good point. He showed some really good flashes at times.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember which game it was. He had that big game.
Mm-hmm.
It was earlier in the year.
It was an early game, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember which game it was either, but yeah.
You've finally seen the flashes from him. Yeah, that's true. I mean, we've actually, it happens every offseason that we have a guy that gets much bigger of a deal than we would be willing to pay.
Yep.
Like when Jeremy Parnell, for example, like they acted like he was a Pro Bowl right tackle when he hit free agency. We've had guys like that, like this. I mean, JJ Wilcox.
Mm-hmm. Barry Church.
So I don't. Yeah, there's been quite a few guys that didn't deserve the kind of pay they was getting.
Yeah.
So,
Jeff brings up Tavon Austin. You know how I feel about Tavon Austin, Jeff. Don't try to rile me up. I wouldn't let him pay us to get back on this team. It's a complete waste of a spot.
Yeah.
Shane asked, this would have no bearings on Michael Gallup because 2 completely different roles.
Yeah, Noah Brown wouldn't be the replacement to Michael Gallup at all if he was traded. Somebody else would fill that role.
If Noah Brown can give you 10 catches a season, you'll be happy with that. That's the type of player he is. His impact is special teams.
Yeah.
Mendoza puts a lot of great names up here. I just go through the list. Too expensive, too expensive, too expensive, too expensive. Lazard is a big, number 2.
A big dude.
I could see Lazard going to Oakland, not Oakland, the Raiders, and filling the role that Tyrell Williams filled last year. The guy, he just got cut. Very similar guy, 6'4", 4.3 speed, kind of questionable hands, but they make big plays. Kadero Hodge, I could see him trying to go somewhere and be a 3. Josh Reynolds, I wouldn't be shocked to see one of those receivers with the Rams get cut to save money, and they promote Josh Reynolds up to be like that number 2 guy. So I pay real close attention to Josh Reynolds. If not that, he's going somewhere else. And I've always been high on Rashard Higgins, Hollywood Higgins out of Cleveland. I think he got a bad rap. He should have gotten a chance to be the number 2, but they blew the pick on the kid who can't stay out of trouble. And then they brought in Odell Beckham, and Higgins kind of got pushed to the back burner. I think they bring him back, and he kind of shows why he earned the nickname Hollywood. So I'm looking for him to stay in Cleveland or go somewhere and be a number 2 guy. He reminds me a lot of What's the receiver that's in Carolina right now who used to be with the Jets?
Man,
Robbie
Robbie Anderson.
Robbie Anderson. Higgins reminds me a lot of Robbie Anderson. I think if he gets a shot somewhere else, he's going to show that. Yeah. The Browns do have several free agents. And thanks, Mendoza, coming in. Rivera says we have the best tight ends in the league with Schwartz and Jarvis. Or Jarwin, sorry. Yeah. Yeah, I know. I already knew what you meant, but yeah. So I didn't put tight end on here because the only free agent is Blake Bell, and he's really just a special teams guy. So we still have Cole Hicatini and the kid from Michigan, Sean McKeon. They won't backfill that spot, so I didn't even worry about putting free agency up here for those guys. All right, let's go to our last offensive position. We're at 32 minutes. And guys, before we get to defense, for all you guys just joining us, make sure you share this to your favorite Facebook page so that we can get this out here and people can actually see realistic names that the team would look at and stop throwing out pipe dream names, because we're really limited on money. And the team has a very historical structure on how they sign free agents. We all talk about it all the time, how they're tight on money when it comes to free agency. And I tried my best to keep this with guys I feel like meet the criteria of what we've seen in the past. So let's go to the third offensive position. And I hate to see this guy go, but he is a free agent, 31 years old. Been kind of bailing us out the past couple of years, coming in and giving us some quality snaps. He may feel like this is the time where he goes somewhere else and gets a starting spot. I don't know.
That's your Jeremy Parnell, Ronald Leary type situation. He'll probably get a starting role somewhere.
Yeah.
Probably get like a 3-year deal somewhere.
Or he could go somewhere and get a backup role for more money because we're just tight on cap space and we wouldn't use it for the backup guard, especially when we already have a guy like Connor McGovern behind him already.
Yeah. No, you're losing a huge locker room guy for sure.
You definitely would. So we got a couple of guys here. Brian Winters, I see Rivera put him up here. He actually came out the same draft as Travis Frederick, and honestly, I had him and Frederick as 1A and 1B as best center in that draft. And he was drafted by the Jets. He ended up going to Buffalo for the second part of his career. 30 years old, has starting experience. He was only paid $3 million as a starter last year. So you don't know. At that price, he didn't have a good year last year, so he may be kind of going into the backup part of his career. So he may be available to us, and he can play some guard as well. He's a center guard guy as well. Mike Upati, another one of those Wisconsin guys who can give you some good snaps at center. Always been solid. You see, he's 34 years old. He started for Seattle last year. I believe he was a trade guy when he came to Seattle, but he's always been consistently good. If he wanted to come somewhere, I could see him coming here. Alex Redman, I believe he was with Dallas before, went to Cincinnati, got a starting job for 1 year. And then we got Pat Elflein from Minnesota. He was cut last year. I don't know if you guys remember this, but he got cut, picked up by the Jets. People were kind of saying maybe we should pick him up last year, but the Jets ended up getting him for a 1-year deal. So maybe we can bring him here.
Yeah.
So I see Rivera puts Pat Elflein in there. Lambo, any of these names catch your eye?
Redman did, just because the history.
Yeah.
But
he was pretty good with Cincy last year. I have to give it to him. I watched quite a few of those games because I have a close friend that's a Cincy fan, so I paid attention to that line.
Yeah. I just wonder what you think they kind of shifted finally with McGovern towards him being a guard.
I really don't know. I think he may fall into the same trap that Looney fell into. He may be more important as a center guard backup than as a starting guard. So they may keep him back there and eventually draft another guy to start over Connor Williams if he looks like he's going to be on his way out. Florida Cowboys says Mike Iupati's retiring. I did see that report yesterday, and I forgot to take it off this list. Thank you for reminding me of that.
Yeah, it's like I still wish they would start McGovern at left guard. That kind of bugging me big time. But yeah,
I don't think it'll happen. Especially if we lose Looney. I really hope we can bring Looney back at the same price again.
Yeah, I mean, the type of guy he is, I wouldn't be surprised if he was willing to take a team-friendly deal.
Yep. Now here's my concern, and Brian says we should swap the Connors out. I just don't see it happening. As much as we want it, I don't see it happening. But here's my concern with Joe Looney. $2 million doesn't sound like a lot, but when I look at this team, I see a guy like Mitch Hyde coming back. They could probably get Cam Irvin back on a cheap deal. We had another guy who went to injury reserve. I can't think of his name, but he plays guard. So we have a lot of guard options along with McGovern. So they can kind of keep McGovern as that backup center. And I feel like in order to save that $2.5 million, they would just let Looney go and roll with all the young guys we got as backups.
Yeah.
But we need to have a good center in the backup spot because Tyler B has missed at least 4 games going back to college. Hey, Jeff, let me have that one, please. Let me talk about my Clemson guy a little bit. So yeah, I think we do need a veteran to back up Tyler B because if we go by history, he's going to miss 4 games. So we definitely need somebody behind him.
Yeah.
Mendoza says Brett Jones intrigues him. He did play well for the Vikings. One of the reasons Pat Elflein kind of got the boot. They did have that rookie playing over both of them. So that's something to pay attention to as well. I did put that on the list, but if I'm not mistaken, I think Brett Jones' contract was a lot more than $2.5 million. Now, Jeff, his preseason was horrible, but they did play him at left tackle. And I told you he is not a tackle. I told you that before they drafted him. He got by big time in Clemson because they got the ball out quick and the quarterbacks were always elite. All right, guys. So we're at 39 minutes. We're about to hit the defense up a little bit. Again, before we get on defense, make sure you guys share this. Make sure you guys keep bringing the great comments. I put a lot of names up here for positions, and I know I probably missed quite a few. So let's keep the dialogue going. Let me know some guys that I may have missed once we go to defense, and we can talk about them. And I can maybe pull up their contracts and kind of let you know why I didn't put them on the list. So, Lambo, any certain defensive position you want to go to next?
The line.
Okay. All right. So we'll start off with defensive end. Now, Aldo Smith did play linebacker technically last year, but in a 4-3 defense, he would be considered a defensive end. And I would consider him more of like a swing guy playing on both sides. So I tried to pull guys who I think can kind of play both sides. Especially give us a backup behind Randy Gregory because he hasn't played a full season, so we just don't know. And Brian, we got one tech coming next, so be sure to stay with us.
I'm waiting for the first Watt comment.
If you look at what I have for estimated salary, you can pretty much cancel JJ Watt coming to this team, unless I put a 1 right here, and that still may not be enough. So,
Man.
any names on this list stand out to you, Lambo?
Tack McKinley.
Yeah, I see Jeff says give me Tack or Beasley.
Yeah, Beasley too. Both those names stand out, but just because
former Falcons.
Yeah, that draft. Yeah, and former Falcons. And I just remember when they was drafted, I was high on them at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Tack got a little wild in his little interview with Deion Sanders on the stage.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like he's still young enough that you can kind of get things turned around for him, and the talent's there.
Yeah.
So kind of like a low risk, high reward type guy in Tack. That's kind of how I see him.
I'm curious for one. I know he got cut from the Falcons because of just personality clashes.
That's the problem with him, yeah.
But he only played like 80 snaps for the Raiders last year, and I don't know why. That might be a little concerning for me.
Yeah, there's definitely would have to do some digging on him.
Yeah. Then you got Vic Beasley, also another former Falcon. He played some quality snaps for the Raiders last year, so you could probably get him for $3 or $4 million. Still a young guy, pass rush specialist, so you can bring him in behind Randy Gregory and just kind of keep changing guys out in waves. I have a very Atlanta themed list right here. I just noticed that. Charles Harris, former Missouri Tiger, one of my favorite players coming out of that draft. He was drafted, got picked up by the Falcons, played there last year. Allen Bailey was recently cut to save money. So his contract, his last salary was $4.5 million. I think his stats and his athleticism are starting to diminish a little bit. I think we can get this number down $1 million or $2 million. So I could see him coming here as a backup. Alex Okafor, 30 years old, from Kansas City. His number was $5.9 million last year, but he didn't start a game last year for the Chiefs. So I know people remember the name, but I think his best years are behind him.
Yeah.
And he'll probably take a pay cut and stay with the Chiefs, because who wouldn't want to stay with the best team in the division if you're going to take less money anyway? And then Morgan Fox, I put that up here, Rivera. Morgan Fox is a Ram. I think he had 6.5 or 7.5 sacks this past year. They play a 3-4 defense. He's a little bit undersized for that defense, but he brings it. He has a lot of heart. I think he could play in a 4-3 as an end as well. And Mendoza asked about Trey Hendrickson. I like Trey Hendrickson a lot. I don't think he'll take a contract that'll be at a price point for us to be able to sign him, because I believe he's coming out of his rookie deal now. And I feel like he had a good enough a year last year that he's want to make some money. Even though the Saints don't have a lot, I think they'll find a way to structure him to make sure he can get at least $6 or $7 million a year. What's up, J Tuck? Appreciate the support. Yeah, like I just said, I don't know if you caught what I said. He didn't start a game last year for the Chiefs. So if he's gonna go somewhere and take a pay cut, I think he'd rather just stay there. I think they find the money for him at $2 or $3 million.
Yeah.
And I'm with Jeff and Mendoza. I kind of feel like Charles Harris is the guy. Kind of one of those journeyman hired gun pass rushers. I just don't know what it is about Tack McKinley. I like him. I think he can make a good swing in, because I think he could play some left and right end. But it's something about that personality I don't trust.
Yeah, some red flags for sure. I was reading a few different sources or some writers for the Raiders saying that they think that he's going to get brought back because they didn't get much of a chance. He was dealing with the groin, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of want to get a better look at him still.
Yeah.
So he might end up returning.
And I wouldn't be surprised if that happened either. And Vic Beasley as well. I feel like that was kind of his 1 year take a look deal. I don't know what his market is. I doubt it will go more than $3.5 million. So that could be a viable option unless somebody just says, I think he has another couple years in him because of his age and he can get us 7 or 8 sacks. So if anybody else has any other defensive ends, let me know. We could talk about those guys. And Florida Cowboy, Charles Harris is a Quinn guy, so that's one of the reasons I put him up here. Mendoza asked about Demarcus Walker. I know you went Demarcus Walker because I think he's a Florida State guy. I loved him out of Florida State. I know Jeff will remember I was hoping we drafted him because I had so much respect for him. I think Walker is a 3-tech, honestly. I think they played him at end a little bit, but I think his best position is 3-tech. So I don't know if we won the third 3-tech, he could probably make a good fit. But I think he's good enough to be a starter backup somewhere. Tyson Alualu, I mean, his position is end, but in our defense, he would probably be a 3-tech, even a 1-tech. I don't think he would play like a pure defensive end position. So that's one of the reasons I didn't put those guys on the list. I may have included Alualu on the D tackle list. We'll look at that in a minute. But I don't think either one of those guys will fit here as a 4-3 defensive end, especially as a at that Leo spot behind Gregory, which we don't have anybody there right now. Paul Wiley, I agree. Put Beasley in behind Randy Gregory. Let those guys rotate out and keep bringing that heat. Yeah, I would love to see him in Dallas. And Walker hasn't really turned out. I mean, he's a solid player. I think he was a 4th or 5th round pick. So he's giving you about what you expect. Some solid pass rush, solid rotation guy. Has a little bit of flexibility because of his strength. I think he's just going to be a career 3-4 defensive end, honestly. All right, guys, let's move to defensive tackle now because I saw Brian asked about the defensive tackle position. So our big free agent there, who's a restricted free agent, is Antoine Woods. Now, got to talk about this for a second, Lambo. Antoine Woods is a restricted free agent this year. What tag do you think they give him? Do you think they give him the $3.5 million second round tag? Or do you think they give him the $2 million tag where if anybody signs him to a contract, he's gone?
Man, that's tough.
I just don't know how he fits. Like it's hard to dictate his salary.
Yeah.
Because in my opinion, they could have signed him to a $3.5 million deal last year.
I don't think he'll get $3.5 million from the Cowboys.
Yeah, because I don't think he's considered the starter.
No. So I think the 2, and not the second rounder, but the second option there.
Okay. So the one where basically they put a tag on him, and if somebody offers a deal, they just get him.
Yeah.
I can see that. And Dominique White, thank you for joining us. You say no to Beasley attacking Harris. I think Harris can be half for cheap, honestly. I don't think Atlanta brings him back. He has familiarity with Quinn. Nobody's looking for him to be a starter. And let me go back real quick because I already forgot what his contract was. His contract last year was $2.6 million. I think he'll probably get that or a little bit less, so he won't break the bank as a backup. I could see him as an option here. Vic Beasley, the same thing. I think just because they both have those Quinn ties, he could probably convince them to come here for 2 or 3 years, $2 million, something like that. So I think those are both options. I think Short is a pipe dream, Jeff. I think he's gonna want way too much money. Let me go back to the defensive tackle spot.
What's up, man?
What's up? What's up, Nick? Appreciate you joining. Dominique said second round tender for Woods. We'll see. I thought they were gonna give a second round tender to David Irvin that year. Didn't happen. So you never know. You never know.
I don't like David Irvin right now. Talking all that trash.
Mendoza, I know you pound the table for Puna Ford. I do too. But when I really took a look at him, he's a restricted free agent as well. And I would be shocked if they didn't give him a second round tender. Now, I could see us with Woods because Woods has always been kind of a rotation guy. Puna's been very active on their front seven. So I would be shocked if they didn't offer him a second round tender. But if he was available, he would definitely be on this list. And you talk about Devon Gaccio from Miami, a young guy coming into his own a little bit. I would love to see him here as a rotation guy. And Brian talked about DJ Jones, kid from San Francisco. I believe he played for NC State, if I'm not mistaken. I remember he was a big, powerful guy. You know he can rush the passer well coming out of San Fran. I think he started quite a few games. Still young. If the price was right, I would definitely look at DJ Jones. So let me go to the top of the list a little bit. Starting off with Jonathan Hankins from the Raiders. They got a lot of guys on their front seven that they have to re-sign. I mean, we just pointed out two of them at defensive end. You got David Irvin probably coming back. So they have some decisions to make. I don't think Jonathan Hankins is a $4.5 million guy anymore. I could see him coming here to be a starting nose tackle for us, and we could probably get him for $3.5. And then you talk about Shelby Harris out of Denver. I always liked him. He's one of those blue-collar guys who's going to give you a lot of effort. He's kind of a tweener. I think he could play nose for us, but that's something you just have to be aware of. It depends on what Denver does with him. $3.5 million, kind of right at our cap, I think, if we're looking at backup defensive tackle. Rakim Nunez Roches is a guy that I'm really, really interested in out of Tampa Bay. He doesn't get a lot of shine because he played behind Sue and the other kid, the big first-round pick they got. He may come back to Tampa just because I think everybody's going to try to get back on their team and get another shot at the ring. You never know what they're going to do with Sue because I think his price tag is going up, so he may want more money than Tampa can pay. So this kid might step in and be the starter for them. He started quite a few games for him this year. And then, of course, I had to put Mike Daniels up here because of the McCarthy.
McCarthy connection.
Yep.
His first 6 years with Green Bay was good.
Yep.
Then that seventh year, yeah.
He didn't start in Cincinnati last year. Actually, Chris Covington, the guy that we had in Dallas 2 years ago, Chris Covington started over him the entire year at defensive tackle.
Yeah. In the previous year, he was with Detroit, and that didn't fare so well.
Yep. So
he might be in a decline.
Mike Daniels is probably a guy we can get here for $1 million if we just wanted to get a guy familiar with Mike McCarthy and another body. And I'm really looking at this for like backup bodies at nose. So I can maybe see that one.
Yeah, I could see that.
And then we got Big Snack Harrison, the guy everybody wants to take.
Yeah.
Last year, especially me.
Yeah, I wanted him last year as well. But instead we got to watch Dante Poe for way, way too long.
Yep. I agree with that. Mendoza brings up PJ Hall and Mike Pennell. PJ Hall, I think, is going to get a lot of money. I think he took that cheap deal with Houston because he had a big deal and then he got cut. So he got some money guaranteed from that team. So I don't know if he would come back here. Mike Pennell is the nose tackle from Green Bay. Honestly, some guys I think are just 3-4 guys. I think they like 3-4. He's a really big guy. So I think just the fact that they run a 3-4 and the fact that they already have a good team and he wouldn't cost that much, I think he goes back. I think it'll be hard for us to get a guy like that. Now, if PJ Hall wanted to come here for $4 or $5 million and be our starter, I would be okay with that. But I really just wanted to go with guys I thought would be kind of backup defensive tackle, $3 million guys. And Dominique, you agree with us as well. I don't know if you guys noticed this. The guy I like the most, I kind of put him at the last one. And for some reason, they turned out to be the cheapest one because I try to put everybody in order from least to most expensive last year's contracts. But I like Devon. Young guy, hungry, explosive pass rusher for a big guy. I just hope we can get him here. I mean, $3.5 million, I think, would be the kind of the sweet spot to sign a guy like that. Florida Cowboy asked about Jarrell Casey, the guy that was recently cut. I think that's a pipe dream, honestly. I mean, if you go back and look at his contracts the past 3 years, he's never made less than $7 million. So are you guys going to pay $7 million for a defensive tackle who missed all of last year? I mean, if I'm going to do that, I'd rather make a run at Dalvin Tomlinson. And on top of that, Casey spent his whole career playing a 3-4. Again, some guys just like certain defenses. I know we want to see him come here because he's a big name. He's been productive. But it's hard to get a guy who's 31 years old and expect him to come to a team and play a new position when he doesn't have to. It's a lot of 3-4 teams out there that'll pay him. Yeah. I mean, he makes sense. But is he going to switch from a 3-4, which he's played his whole career, and come to Dallas for $4 million when his last 3 contracts paid him at least $8 million? I just don't see it happening. So, yeah. Great comments, though. Devon is definitely the guy on this list that I like. I would possibly look at Snacks as a backup for $1 million.
Yeah.
But other than that, Jonathan Hankins, I would look at him for a 1-year starter deal, $2.5, $3 million. But I just feel like some of these other guys, and I agree with that. Mike Daniels, if we want him, he would have been here last year. Definitely agree with that.
Good point.
Yeah. And then, like I said, you add on to that, he couldn't even start in Cincinnati over a guy that could barely touch our field in Chris Covington last year. So is that guy really a guy we want to bring back at 32, 33 years old?
Probably not.
Yeah. All right, Lambo. So we got 2 linebacker positions, 2 secondary positions. Which one you want to go to next?
Surprising me.
All right. We'll save that safety spot for last because I know that was going to bring up a lot of controversy. Let's go to what I think is an easy position, and that is that Sam linebacker spot. So we got Joe Thomas, 30 years old, a lot of position flex. I'm shocked to see his salary was only $1.25 million last year. I thought he made more than that.
Ooh.
But those are some good names on this list, though.
Give me Damian Wilson back. Bring my guy back.
That's the name I was looking at.
I liked Wilson, man. I hated to see him go.
Oh, I agree. Now the question is, would he want to come back? Because I don't know if he left on the best of terms.
Probably not.
I got a chance to meet him a couple of times at the Cowboys takeover, and I got a chance to kind of throw a couple of comments here and there just to get a feel for the guys. And I felt like Damian Wilson really wanted to leave here because he felt like they didn't give him the opportunity he felt like he deserved.
Yeah.
And I would be shocked if he came back here again just to be a special teams guy.
Yeah.
20% Sam linebacker.
It won't happen.
Yeah. I would love to see it happen, though. As much as I like Joe Thomas as a player, I would love to see Damian Wilson come back.
Me too. Reggie Ragland, the potential's there.
Yeah.
If you could release it.
Yeah. This is a guy I always felt was a Sam linebacker, but they always played him as a middle linebacker. I just never saw him as a middle. I always thought he was just a big, physical thumper Sam linebacker. So if we could get him here, I would love to see him come here. BJ Goodson, I think he's former Giant. I've always liked how he played. I think he would be a solid guy to bring in as a Sam guy. Then you look at Malcolm Smith. We had him here before. Gave us a lot of solid reps.
He did.
I know, Nick's talked about him all the time and how great he played here. But he's up in age.
Yeah.
Now, he did play in that Seattle defense. So do you think a guy like Quinn may want to bring one or two veterans back to say, you know what, let's teach these guys how we did things in Seattle? $1 million. He comes in as your Sam linebacker playing 30% of your snaps. That's a possibility, I think. Definite possibility. Duke Riley, Philadelphia. I just put him on here because I don't think he's going to be there. I don't think he fits the Sam spot, but he could give you some quality Mike snaps if you just need a backup, kind of like Joe Thomas. Justin March is leaving as well, special teams guy. Looking at this list, I see everybody kind of likes this list. Dominique says he loves this list. Dominique, let me know who you think, if we let Joe Thomas go, which guy would you want to see come on this team? To be honest, I could take any guy off this list, except maybe Duke Riley. But all these other guys, if you told me this was our Sam linebacker for one season, I would have no problem with it. Lambo, what do you think the likelihood is that Joe Thomas comes back?
I'm trying to take off my fan hat and think logically. Like, I'd like to have him come back, but I feel like he can get a better opportunity elsewhere.
I think we would definitely have to pay him more than we paid him last year to get him back. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
If Damian Wilson left Kansas City, I could see Joe Thomas fitting right in that spot he just left. That would be my biggest fear.
I need a new chair. This thing's
Yeah, Dominique, kind of what I was saying before. Bring in a veteran to teach the guys the system.
Mhm.
Put him at the Sam linebacker spot. He can maybe give you some Mike snaps if LVE goes down. He may have enough in him to play some wheel. You never know. But I just really like Reggie Ragland as a thumper. If we can get Damian Wilson, I would like it. But I think Joe Thomas is going to be the guy. I hope so. Florida Cowboy says no more old players. I mean, you're preaching to the choir, but that's the way of the league. Guys only become available in free agency because they're older players or they're young and they're not talented. So it's kind of a catch-22. Either you can pay a lot of money for a young guy, you can bring in a young guy for little money who has pretty much flamed out, or you can bring in an older guy and hope you can tap into another year of experience. Now, interesting question, Von Miller. Again, this is a guy played 3-4 his whole career. I would have no doubts he could transition to a defensive end spot just because his skill set fits that Leo spot perfectly. I just don't know what the money would be. I think the money would be just as much of a burden or a roadblock as the trade compensation. And J Tuck, I agree. It'll be hard for a guy at Kansas City to leave what they have going there right now. And I put Wilson on the list because I want to see him come back. But to be honest, the little bit I talked to him, I don't know if he would come back. I think he really felt disrespected that they didn't let him play more Mike linebacker to show off that he can actually play on defense. I don't think he liked being a special teams only guy. And Dominique preaching to the choir again. I'm a big Joe Thomas guy. Even if we have to give him a pay raise, I would like to bring him back just because he gives you that position flex, all three positions. He can start at Sam. He can play Mike if you need him to, and he can even play Will. And Mendoza now I don't know who Devondre Campbell is, Mendoza. So let me know what team he plays for. So you always bring up a name, and I thought I was very high on some of these names, and I've never heard of Devondre Campbell.
I don't know him either.
Yeah, so let me know what team he played for. Vaughn might be a 1 year out guy where the deal reads like 4 super high salary year 1 guaranteed for him. I could see that. But again, would he want to come to a 4-3 defense and do that? Would you want to trade for him? Those are the two big questions. Thanks, Jeff. Campbell from Atlanta. Yeah, I'm not too familiar with him. I'll take a look at him after the show. See if I can backtrack on that one a little bit. All right, guys, we're at hour 7. Lambo, can you hang in for 15 more minutes? Or you need to dip?
Yeah, I can stick.
All right. Let's go to the other linebacker position real quick, because now we got to talk about the general. Did I leave that one off? I think I may have left that one off, so I may have to come back to it. So we talked defensive tackle. So now let's go to the cornerback position while I pull up the other linebacker spot. Now, this is a long list of names right here. So you guys take a look at this one and let it soak in and meditate, and let me know what you think in the comments while I pull up this other linebacker spot. So, if you can, try to go through this list a little bit and talk about some of these guys that I have on the list.
Awuzie, a lot of people, well, a lot of Cowboys fans are kind of harsh on him. I actually wouldn't mind having bringing Chidobe Awuzie back. I'm kind of hoping we can bring him back, to be honest. Not on nothing crazy though.
Yeah,
he's not a guy I want to pay a lot of money to.
Now, honestly, Lambo, I think if he left it, he would get $7 million, $6 or $7 million. He's a number 2 corner in this league.
Yeah, I like Awuzie. I would like to bring him back if it's possible. It might not be possible. Patrick Peterson, obviously, yeah, he is getting up there in age, and he didn't look like the Patrick Peterson I'm used to this past season. But I like Patrick Peterson. I think he could come and be a solid veteran presence and help us bridge the position for a year or two.
We'll come back to this, Dominic.
Well, Richard Sherman is getting up there, man. 33 for
way up there.
I kind of get a little nervous about a cornerback once they get up there and around 33, 34 years old. I think we did that back in the day with Felipe Sparks.
Mm-hmm.
Brought him in towards the tail end of his career. But
well, let me ask you this, Lambo, before you go down the list. I think Sherman is one of those Sioux guys where no matter what his age is, he's always going to want to be paid good money.
I see that too.
I would say he's maybe a $4 million guy, but I don't think he would take $4 million. So what would you say is the dollar amount that you would say is like a max for Richard Sherman?
I wouldn't give him more than 5. Okay.
I don't think he would take 5. Honestly.
Yeah, I don't either.
Especially not to this team, he wouldn't.
Yeah. DJ Hayden, wow, I can't believe he's 31 years old. I remember he was a Raiders draft pick, right? First round draft pick.
Yep.
Yes. Wow. Time flies. Xavier Woods is kind of falling off.
He's falling. He had a good year last year, but his last 2 or 3 years in Minnesota were not that good.
They've declined.
And he has some injury concerns. And just getting up there in age, like you said.
Yeah.
I see the comments are going off, so I started to get these. Bashard Breeland. I could tell you by looking at the Super Bowl what Honey Badger thinks about him. But what do you think about him as a player, Mendoza, Lambo?
I don't think he's special, but I think he's solid. I mean,
Now, looking at this list, I'm trying to find a guy who can be a number 2 corner, like day 1 starter. Do you think he can be a day 1 starter for us?
I want Kevin King.
Really? I'm shocked you said that because I think Kevin King would be a good pick here too. I know a lot of people won't agree with that because they'll go off the recency bias of that last game with Green Bay.
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, when the year he was drafted, he was a guy that I was hoping we kind of maybe take a look at.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I don't know. I like tall corners. He's about 6'3".
Mm-hmm.
And I really liked him coming out of college. Yeah, I liked him coming out of college. Shoot, he was a McCarthy guy's. No, he wasn't. Was he? It might have been the tail end of McCarthy. The very tail end.
He was drafted 2017, the same year as Taco Charlton. So he was a McCarthy guy.
You're right. Because I remember when we took Taco during that draft, there was a few guys that I liked in the 20s that I thought I was hoping we targeted, and one was Kevin King, and one was T.J. Watt.
Yep.
And obviously we took Taco, but yeah, I like he's young, man. He's 26. He's got good speed. He's got great height. He's familiar with McCarthy as well. That can't hurt. I think he's still got potential to be a solid cornerback too in this league.
All right, let me get in these comments a little bit, Lambo, because I see a lot of people starting to get deep in the comments. Need to catch up. Mendoza says 2 names he found intriguing are Steven Nelson and Mike Nelson. I have no clue who Mike Nelson is. Please tell me what team he plays for.
The Nelson brother.
Steven Nelson played for Pittsburgh, I know. And I feel like that's one of those guys I think they would sign back. And even if they didn't, I think his price tag would be too high. I think he made about $8 million last year. I doubt he makes less than that this year. Patrick Peterson, way too rich for the Joneses. Tuck, I think he would be borderline. I could really see him signing one of those deals like Richard Sherman signed, 3 years, $9 million a year. But that first year probably be about $4 million, and then years 2 and 3, you can kind of see what you got to see if you want to pay him. Now, if it's just for a 1-year deal, I agree. He probably want $10 million for 1 year. But if you can convince a guy like Peterson to do 2 or 3 years, I think you can work it out year 1. Jeff says Witherspoon. I love Akello Witherspoon. Coming out of that draft, 2017 draft again. My top 7 corners, Awuzie and Witherspoon were both in my top 7. They both played for Colorado. They both play a very similar style. Witherspoon is a little bit taller. I think he's about 6'2", 6'3". But I think Witherspoon would fit perfectly in this cover 3 scheme. So that's a guy I would definitely look at. Only 25 years old. I think you could probably get him for $4.5, $5 million. And Dominique says keep Awuzie if under $6 million, try a 1-year deal. I personally don't think he has to up his value. As much as we as Cowboy fans don't like him, I think he's shown enough to prove that he's a number 2 in this league. That's just my opinion. I think he can go somewhere and get $7-8 million multi-year deal. And I'm looking at a team like the Cardinals that may want to do it.
Yeah, I can see that.
Mendoza pushing hard for these no's. PJ Williams may be your guy. I mean, he's a corner safety out of New Orleans. Maybe we bring him in as our free safety. Maybe we bring him in as our corner. You never know. I think we can get him in our price range for 1 year. 28 years old, veteran experience. That may be the no you get. Based off this team's history, I could easily see them taking Xavier Woods on like a 3-year, $3 million deal. So that one could happen as well. I would hope they wouldn't go that route, but you never know. I know Jeff puts Witherspoon, Rose, or Pat P. I think of those three, Witherspoon is probably one of the most realistic options. William Jackson, I put him on the list. I think his price range is going to be too high. I think he's going to be right at that $7 to $10 million range. A former first-round pick for Cincinnati out of, I believe, University of Houston, if I'm not mistaken. Has the measurables. I believe he had some injury concerns out of Cincinnati, but he was pretty much their number one corner. And I think he'll at least go somewhere and be a reasonable number two. Now, this is another guy I really like. Dre Kirkpatrick. Always underrated. He was the best corner in Arizona last year, in my opinion. And they got him for $1 million. People are going to look at his age and say, you know what? Maybe he may not have any left in the tank. But you put him in this cover 3, I think you got something. All right. Lambo, let me know if you need to head out while I go through these last 2.
Oh, no problem. I'm good for now.
Okay. All right.
I may lose. My computer may shut off. We'll
okay. Well, let me ask you this question then before we possibly lose you. If you had to choose your top 3 options on this list, including Awuzie, if you choose him, which are your top 3 that you think you would kind of focus on if you were Dallas?
Awuzie. I don't know. I'd like Awuzie. I like Peterson, and I like Kevin King.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think Peterson will happen.
Okay.
I don't think he's realistic, honestly. But I think we're going to be looking for some bigger savings than what he may offer.
And Taiwan, I thought I saw you make a comment earlier. Sorry if I missed you, man. Thank you for joining us as always. You've always been a loyal guy with us, so we appreciate your support. My top 3, looking at this list, will probably be Awuzie, Witherspoon, and probably Kevin King. I just have a feeling if you put him in a cover 3 scheme, I think you can pull something out of him. The Packers played almost like a zero defense cover 1, where they let what is their safety's name they drafted? Darnell Savage.
Yeah.
Out of Maryland. They just let Savage roam the field, and they relied on the pass rushers, the Smith brothers, to get home, and then the cornerbacks just kind of were on the island by themselves. I don't think that fits Kevin King's skill set because his hips were extremely stiff. So I think if you put him in that cover 3 where he can bump and run and play that bail technique, use his length, use his speed vertically, I think you can revitalize his career.
Yeah, don't forget he had, I think it was 5 interceptions just 2 years ago, 2 seasons ago.
He did. So yeah, I like him as a player. And Mike Hilton. Mendoza looking for the Florida State guys. He brought in one of my Ole Miss guys. So you know I know who Mike Hilton is very well. Super aggressive corner. He's only 5'9". He's a great nickel guy, but I think we got enough nickel guys. I feel like we have to look outside. I like him as a player. I know he comes on that corner blitz as good as anybody in the league, but he may not be the type of guy to fit this team. And Steven Nelson, I like him too. I just think he's out of our price range. I don't see Pittsburgh letting him go. And if they do, I see somebody picking him up and giving him a $10 million a year deal. This is an interesting one. I see Mendoza bringing a bunch of names up. Javarius Ward. I think this is one of those guys. He may be happy where he's at.
Yeah.
And may not want to leave. I think he's still with the Chiefs, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So if he's going to be a cheap player, I think he'll just rather stay there and have a chance to win rings. Ronald Darby is interesting. Is he a corner or is he a safety? I think he's a safety at this point in his career. I may have put him in the safety group, so we'll have to check and see. Darquez Denard. I'm looking at guys I feel like can be a number 2 corner. I think his number 2 corner days are behind him, honestly. I think even though Richard Sherman, Patrick Peterson, Xavier Rhodes are kind of late in their careers, I feel like if the team looks at them, they have the potential to be number 2 corners. I don't think Denard has that anymore. And J-Tuck has Cheeto, Peterson, Witherspoon. If Peterson will come here and the price is right, I would definitely go with that list. Yeah, Jeff, I know you love Savage coming out of college. You were real high on him because I remember I was shocked he went first round, and you kind of told me like you knew that guy would go first round because he was just it at safety. Yeah, and Mendoza talks about him being a smaller guy as well. All right, guys, we got 2 more positions to go through with hour 21 minutes. Hang with us for 10 more minutes. Let us know what you think. Be sure to like this video. If you haven't done so already, make sure you share it. If people can't come in on the tail end, maybe they can catch it tomorrow. And also make sure you check us out on YouTube. If you're watching through Facebook, I see we got a lot of YouTube people in here today. So wherever you are, make sure you subscribe to both of our YouTube channels. I'm Bluff City Cowboys. Lambo is Cowboys, y'all. All right. I see Mendoza really loves that corner list, even though I put like 15 names on here. Troy Hill, another one of those guys. I think he's found his role in LA as that number 2 corner. I think he kind of stays there.
Play Andy Dalton at corner.
Victor Smith, thank you for joining us. All right, so let's go back to middle linebacker now, because we skipped that one. I got the list up now. Kind of a short list of guys I really like. So we got Sean Lee, the general, $4.5 million, 35 years old. We got KJ Wright coming from Seattle.
I know. I remember we talked about him during that last season.
We did. Another guy who can come in, knows the scheme very well, be a veteran presence. His price tag was $7 million last year. I don't know if he'd come down enough for us to get him. And I don't know if his pride would let him be a backup.
Right.
But if those 2 things were to happen, because he may have lost a couple steps, and it seems like those guys really respected Dan Quinn, maybe he would consider it. Christian Kirksey, he was a former Cleveland Brown, had some good years there, went to Green Bay. He's played in a 3-4 his whole career, but I just love, this is one of those leader guys. Like, you put him on your team, and he can come in and be the leader of your defense, like day one. And even though his price is a little high, I think there's a value in that. And I really like him as a player and a leader. And Denzel Perryman, I see J Tuck said, KJ, let's go.
I'm with Dominique, KJ Wright, and Alex Anzalone, the Florida Gator.
Yep.
Alex.
I like him too. And again, like I said about KJ Wright, is that price tag gonna come down? Because $7 million is kind of a lot for your backup Mike linebacker. I think we can get away with $4 million because you almost have to consider whoever plays that spot is gonna play at least 8 games based on who's in front of them. So $4 million for a guy who's gonna start 8 games sounds reasonable. $7 million might be a little out of our price range. Now, Denzel Perryman, one of my favorite linebackers in the league. If you guys know who Bolton is, Nick Bolton, Missouri guy we talk about in the draft, this is his comparison in the league right now. Super professional, come in day one, call your scheme, no matter what scheme it is. He's going to make a bunch of tackles. He's going to be a high energy guy for your team, even at 29. His price tag was $6 million last year. This may be one of those guys you can get to come down a little bit. $6 million. I think you could probably get him 4.5. Again, I love him as a player, kind of one of those short, stocky guys. And then everybody talks about Alex Anzalone. Mendoza talks about him. Lambo, you talked about him coming out of Florida. He's another one of those New Orleans guys whose contract may price him off the team. Now, I put him on this list just because he's coming out of his rookie deal, even though he's 27.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think his price tag is, Lambo? Like, realistically, do you think he's a $4.5 million guy? You think he's more than that?
You know, I don't think he's necessarily priced himself out of there.
You don't think he's priced himself out of New Orleans?
But to be honest, I didn't watch a lot of him in New Orleans.
Yeah.
So that probably wouldn't be fair for me to say.
What do you think his price tag would be, though? You think $5 million is
Maybe a little
less than that or a little more?
If I had to give a range, I would say between 5 and 7.
Okay. 5 and 7 may price him out of Dallas. And he has that position flex too, because he can play middle, he can play wheel, and he could play Sam if you needed him to. But middle wheel, he can give you everything you need right there. And Jeff agrees with you. He's definitely a $5 million guy. I can't say that I disagree with that.
Yeah.
I put $4.5 million, kind of where Sean Lee is. So I saw Dominique make the comment, the bold take about bringing him back, Sean Lee. I can't say I would disagree with that because I think he would take a pay cut to stay here, like, honestly.
Yeah, you can probably get him very cheap.
I think you can get him for $2.5 million, honestly. Sean Lee at $2.5 million as your backup middle. I will probably let him stick around.
Yeah.
Now I don't know how the rest of the fans will feel like having Sean Lee and Joe Thomas both come back, but I like the veteran presence.
Yeah, it's basically like having a linebacker coach on the sideline with the players, just in the uniform.
Yeah, I appreciate that too, Mendoza. When I see him play, that's the first person I thought of with Denzel Perryman in the league. I don't know if that's me frozen or Lambo. So Dominique says cheap. Okay, I see Lambo's computer died, so he may be out for the rest of the show. But we're down to our last position, if you guys have nothing else. So let's keep the dialogue going as we go into the last position of the night, and that is the free safety position. And, of course, we got to talk about the lightning rod that is Xavier Woods. I personally think he's going to get a contract somewhere, if not here somewhere, that's around $6.5 million. So I pulled up a couple of names that I felt like we could possibly get around that price range. I would honestly take any name on this list over him because I feel like these guys are all better cover guys than he is. Even a guy like Randall. So when I look at this list, Ricardo Allen was just cut from Atlanta to save money. I don't know what his relationship is with Dan Quinn, but I would assume it was a good one. So maybe he would come here, take a little bit less money on a one-year deal, $4.5 million. Jaquiski Tart, a guy from San Fran, I was really high on. I love how he plays in that cover 3 scheme, their version of cover 3 that they ran. I think he can come here and do well. Brian, I'm with you. Trey Boston has been that guy for the past 5 years that I've wanted us to take every year, and we never took him. And his price has always been low. Like, I can remember when he went to Arizona, I think his contract was only like $1 million. And then he went to Carolina on a one-year deal. I think his deal was like $3 million. And then they signed him to a 2-year deal for $6 million a year. I feel like he's a $4 to $6 million guy. He can play free. He can play strong. He's going to get turnovers. He's always done it. So I feel like that would be like the number one guy on my list. Malik Hooker, tons of potential, tons of injury concerns. I got the asterisk by his name. That means he's coming off his rookie deal. I have no clue where to gauge his price tag. I think he's going to have to sign a 1-year deal to prove that he can stay healthy for a season. So if the Colts are kind of sick of him, which normally teams are, I could see him going somewhere else. And I could see us maybe $5 million, bringing him in 1 year, let him see what he can do. Jeff says Tart, Boston, and Hooker. I could go with that one. I really like Trey Boston though. Like, if you want to get in a situation where your safeties are interchangeable between Wilson and Boston, that could be a good 1-2 combo. And Tart is more of a true free safety, but I like him a lot if we're going to go that route. I see Dominique, Hooker, Boston, Tart. I guess you're not concerned about all the injuries Hooker has. I mean, if you go back and look at his stats, I think he's only played like 60% of all the games he could play in, but his stats are ridiculous in those 60%. So for 1 year, you just have to hope that injury bug can stay away, because I would hate to pay him, expect him to be my starting safety, and then by week 2, I got to go out and find another one. That's concerning. And Mendoza, you're right. This is one of the reasons I was afraid to put him on this list, because I feel like this is a Robert Saleh move where he brings in some of his veteran guys to come to the Jets and help him build that defense. And normally in that situation, they normally go safety first, because that's kind of the quarterback of your team. So yeah, him and May will make a great 1-2 combo. That's definitely something we got to look out for. Oh, 100% agree, Dominique. The talent is there. His stats are ridiculous considering he played in like 60% of the games. I don't have them in front of me, but I remember going back to look. And let me see if I can pull them up really quick while I'm online. So he has 7 total interceptions, 124 total tackles, but 7 interceptions at safety in 3 years. That's a good free safety. So Jay took Hooker and a rookie. I could go with that. Just got to hope that Hooker can give you more than 2 games. But if you feel confident he can give you more than 2, I would be all for it, because 2 is all he gave you last year. So we also got Demerius Randall. That's just a name I've always liked at safety. Former Cleveland Brown, former Seattle Seahawk. He can play free. He can play strong. He can play nickel corner. He can play a little bit outside. He has the Green Bay ties. He was a former first-round pick for Green Bay under Mike McCarthy. So you never know. He may bring him back. Has the position flex that you love. He signed for a 1-year deal because I don't think he could really catch on anywhere. That may be a guy we look at. He may not be a starter guy, but he may be one of those backup guys, because we don't have a backup free safety right now. If you think that the kid we drafted last year, Reggie Robinson, goes back to corner like I think he does, we don't have a backup or starting free on this team right now. So maybe you pair Randall with another guy and a rookie. And then last on the list, Damonte Kazee, former Atlanta Falcon, played in Dan Quinn's scheme. Very undersized, but he knows how to get his hands on the ball. And I think you could get him for a cheap deal just because of his size. I think people are going to be afraid to consider him as a starting free safety because of his size, and I think he has a little bit of an injury history as well. And Jeff, that's a great point. Still having nightmares about that. But the kid has 10 picks in his career. That's something you have to really be aware of. In the same frame, we just talked about Malik Hooker and his injuries. So Malik Hooker had 124 tackles and 7 interceptions in 4 seasons. Damonte Kazee has 199 tackles and 10 interceptions during that same 4-year time frame. And I'm about to pull up how many games he started. He only started 4 games last year, and Hooker started 2. He started 14 the year before, 15 the year before that, and 1 the year before that. So him and Hooker have similar amounts of starts, but Kazee has way more tackles and more interceptions. I think he's 5'10", 170. That's going to turn a lot of people off. But I think it's something we have to definitely be aware of. I like the name. I like the player. I think he may get a shot to get that starting free safety spot. All right, guys, I see the comments are starting to drop a little bit. Let me know what you think about this list. Let me know if you need me to go back and cover one more before I get out of here. Did the Jets play Brian Poole at corner or safety? If I'm not mistaken, I believe they played Brian Poole at corner. I'm almost certain they played Brian Poole at corner. Let me see if I can pull it up really quick while I'm looking. Well, I see he's listed at corner on the stats. So yeah. Yeah, he's listed as a cornerback. So that may be a name you want to consider. I don't think he's a number 2 guy. As a safety, I think he's more of a backup. But again, we don't have a safety right now, so we could take what we can get. And I don't think he would hit that $6 million cap. Number 1, Trey Boston. I think Kazee is the more realistic option for us. We could probably get him $4 million. He can maybe start. Appreciate that, J Tuck. I mean, you guys are putting out great content. I'm just trying to play catch up and stay as close as I can on you guys' coattails. So I appreciate that. And great show last night with you and Star Gang. I know you guys kind of hit on some of the same things I hit on as well. All right, guys, let me go back through the list again real quick. See if I missed one because I had quite a few. Go back to defensive end again. All right, guys, so next week, I think we're going to have some special guests in, so make sure you tune in and catch us for that show. I don't think Lambo's going to be able to come back with us, so I'll let you guys know on his social media. Everything is Cowboys Y'all, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. Make sure you guys go check me out as well. All my stuff is Bluff City Cowboys on Facebook and on Instagram. I promise you, I'm going to start being more active on Instagram at some point. But make sure you get me on YouTube. I know I need to start doing this more, but I'm going to start making some more individual 5 to 7 minute videos on different topics. Once again, thank you guys for a great show. This show is fueled by our fans, and you guys are some of the most knowledgeable fans on social media. Thank you guys for taking the time out of all the different podcasts going on right now to join in on the Cowboy Zone and listen to a little bit of what we're talking about. Be sure to join us next week at 7:30 Central Standard Time as we talk some more Cowboys talk. I don't know what the topic is going to be right now, but hopefully I can get that together pretty soon to put together another great show for you guys. Thank you, Brian. As always, I appreciate you guys' support. Again, before you guys go, make sure you share this. Share it to your personal page. Share it to your favorite page. We put a lot of information out there that a lot of fans definitely need to hear. And I know you guys can school them on some of the stuff we talked about as well. Once again, I'm Marcus Jones, Bluff City Cowboy, co-host Lambo with Cowboys Y'all. And I'll see you guys next week on another episode of the Cowboy Zone. You guys have a good night.